Let's cross now to the West Bank, to the West Bank city of Ramallah. We can now speak to Diana Buttu, who's an advisor to the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. Diana Buttu, there's repeated calls, including from Washington, for Hamas to stop firing rockets into southern Israel. Is that also a message that's being sent from the Palestinian Authority?
Lisa, I don't represent the Palestinian Authority. I don't work for President Abbas any longer. But what I have been hearing is that the president has been calling for a comprehensive ceasefire, such that it would end up being that Israel would stop its assault on the Gaza Strip in exchange for an opening of the borders and for the end of the Qassam fire that's being fired from the Gaza Strip. That said, however, I'm not so sure that there will be a ceasefire, particularly given the most recent statements of the president, President Bush, that is, basically blaming Hamas for the actions, ignoring the fact that it is actually Israel that broke the ceasefire, not the organization Hamas.
There are, as you know, efforts underway to try to reconcile the Palestinian factions, including Hamas, which controls the Gaza Strip, and then Fatah, which is under the authority of Mahmoud Abbas. Is there any chance of that happening? That the Egyptians have tried to reconcile them for months, if not years?
I certainly hope that this is something that is going to happen, although I think that it's a little bit further off than it perhaps should be. One of the reasons is that when Israel's assault first began, President Abbas did not come out very forcefully against the Israelis, but instead sort of seemed to tacitly blame Hamas for what is going on, indicating that we told Hamas that this was eventually going to happen. And so as a result, you see a number of people from the Hamas organization who are indicating that they simply don't want to speak to President Abbas. He's called for a number of meetings of all of the various factions. Hamas is boycotted, and so I think that the rift is now widening between Hamas and Fatah rather than mending, as is needed in this very desperate time.
Now, the President, Mahmoud Abbas, is heading to New York to talk to the United Nations Security Council. What is the Palestinian leadership hoping for from the international community, in particular from the United Nations?
Most specifically is an end to Israel's assault on the Gaza Strip. That's first and foremost. And I know that there are a number of people, I'm not so certain if they're with authority, but other people who are looking to actually sanction Israel for its activity. Again, this is not an activity that was carried out with the approval of the United Nations. They did not get a Chapter 7 resolution to carry this out. And so this actually does amount to a war crime. And so I know that there are a number of individuals who are looking to get more than simply a ceasefire, but actually to get Israel sanctioned for this activity.
How would you describe the mood in the West Bank among Palestinians there?
Well, obviously, people are outraged by what is going on in the Gaza Strip, just as they're outraged by when other events take place around the world, but most specifically because these are Palestinians who are being killed. And so there have been mass demonstrations all throughout the West Bank. There have actually been demonstrations inside Israel as well, both Israelis and Palestinians, demonstrating against what's happening and speaking out. The problem, by and large, is that while there is a massive groundswell of people who are opposed to what's happening and really calling for Israel to stop, that hasn't been at all matched in any strong way by the Abbas government. And so so there is beginning to be a little bit of anger directed at the Abbas government as well, feeling that he has not done enough to make sure that Israel puts into place a ceasefire.